I think we'll be just fine. And if not, always think we should have been. Good morning. So we're back at it again. You guys know from the last video, this is where we left off. Still don't have the tongue connected. I did take the clamps off of it though, so it's just being held on by baling twine, and I use held on in quotation marks for sure. And so this is all welded up. I hate the rust. Give me some ideas that I can do to keep it from rusting up before I get some paint on this, because I just hate that, and I hate having to use a grinding wheel constantly and getting all the rust off. So anyways, I wanted to talk about how I'm going to do this next step. I've got some coal or some DOM tubing, and what that means is there's not a seam on the inside. I don't exactly know how that's made, but it's pretty cool. There's no seam on the inside. So I'm going to cut a chunk for here, another chunk for the other side. Probably going to make it, about this. Sorry, sometimes I forget that I gotta watch the camera and not my own hand. I start fading. Anyways, so I'll probably cut a chunk of that DOM tubing about this size. So remember, this is 2 inches and this is 2 inches, so it'll be roughly 4 inches. And then that's going to be one part of my barrel hinge, and I'll have another piece over here on the upright piece here, and that'll be how this hinges. So that's the idea there. I just measured from here, inside of this one, to the inside of that one. And if you remember from, I think, the first video, I had cut this to exactly 6 foot. And then I had a corresponding piece right here that was also cut at 6 foot. And the idea was, you can see, this one here, I welded these cross brace, or the frame rail, to the outside of this frame rail. And the idea is that the other one, the piece that goes in the middle, is the same size as this one, but I'd weld the bar on the inside so it would sit right here. And then that should give me enough room so it's not hitting in the middle, and it'll scissor. However, after measuring this one is only, instead of 72 inches, which is 6 foot, it's like 71 3/4. And I'm like, well, how did I mess that up? What did I do wrong? And there's two things that I think happened. Number one is I welded the tongue part in. That's the first weld that I did, was that tongue, and then I did the cross bracing. And I think that the heat kind of flexed that, so I'll show you here. So now if you look down that bar right there, it's got just a little bit of a bow in it, you can see. And I think that's from the heat, from the welding. So I think that's one reason that bar is just a scooch shorter than 6 foot. 1/4 inch is a little bit more than a scooch, actually. And I think the other reason why that bar is a little bit shorter is, if you remember from the first video again, on this, I made that mistake where I've got the front, I'm going to call it the front frame rail, going this way, and the the side frame rail, or the axle frame rail, was coming down this way. It was supposed to come this way, but I welded it on the other side, going the opposite way. So basically I had it going the same way as the tongue, which was the wrong way to do it, obviously. So I had to cut it off, grind it down, put my edges back on there, and all that stuff. And I think I lost some there. So, if you figure 1/8 of an inch here and 1/8 of an inch there, well, now I'm 1/4 inch short. So when I took this bar that is at 72 inches, it wouldn't fit in there. And I'm like, well, that sucks. What am I going to do? Or I was asking, how did that happen? And I'm pretty sure I figured out how that happened. And I'm also very thankful that I actually looked at that, because what a bummer it would have been to fabricate some stuff up and get it welded and be super proud of it and not fit in there. That'd have been a huge frustration, to say the least. So I think I've got, it's an easy fix. I'm just glad that I caught it before I started welding. So the obvious easy fix is that I'll take the 6-foot bar that kind of corresponds with that other bar, and I'll cut it down. And I'll just cut it down to, I could go to where it fits super tight, which would be 71 and 3/4. But I want to give myself just a little bit of play. I think that would be fine. But I'm probably gonna do like 71 and 5/8 or even 71.5, just to make sure that I've got enough room in there for it to scissor and to do what I need to do. It doesn't have to be extremely tight, but I also want to make sure that I've got enough width in there for a bale. And again, I'm probably going to be I'm probably overthinking it, that part of it. Obviously, I'm not overthinking the bar not fitting in there, because that would be defeating the whole purpose of this bale and roller. Another issue, when I was editing the last video, and I was pulling it behind that four-wheeler, that I noticed that I didn't really think about before until I was editing that video, is the width of this thing. So I'll show you what I mean. So the width, and this is just to the top of the tire, basically, to the top of the tire. But my width is going to be 7 foot 8 inches or so. So it's going to be, roughly 7 foot 8 inches overall width to the outside of the tire, which is pretty wide. If you think about an 8-foot gate, you're really having to make sure that you hit that gate dead nuts on, so you're not running a tire onto a fence post or something like that. So I wasn't even thinking about that. Even when I was pulling it, I wasn't thinking about it until I watched the video, and I realized that the tires of the bale and roller weren't even really in my driveway very well. And so that's definitely something I'm gonna have to pay attention to, is to make sure, if I'm going through a narrower gate. I think most of my gates are 10 and 12 foot. Maybe I got a 16 as well down over here. So it shouldn't be that big of a problem, but still, it's something that I want to make sure that I'm paying attention to. Just some things that I thought about, and if anybody wants to go make their own, just something kind of to think about too, is kind of look at your width and make sure that that's going to be what you need it to be. All right, let's see if it fits in here now. Pretty tight. Got about 1/8 of an inch. I think once we grind it down, I think we should be good. A big thing that I need to figure out is how tall I want this to be. So now, the idea is that I want this to be big enough to hold basically a 6x6 bale, right? Which is probably the biggest bale that I can get. If I was thinking about a 6x6 bale, and the bale spears that are gonna be on this are gonna be roughly at the halfway point, I gotta cut that 6 foot in half. So that's 3 foot. So I've got to figure at 3 foot, the bale and it's in its closed position, the bale will be rolling on the ground. So obviously that's not what you want. You want it to be up off the ground. When you're in transport mode, when I'm taking the bale from, you know, wherever I've got it stored to feed, I don't want it riding on the ground. I want it riding on the trailer. It doesn't have to be, you know, 10 feet off the ground or anything like that, but it needs to be off the ground enough to where it'll handle the terrain, and it's not going to mess anything up on the trailer, and I'm not going to get it hung up on anything like that. So I need to figure out from here how tall this needs to be, because there'll be basically a straight piece coming this way. So my idea is I'm going to measure from the ground to the top, and then I'm going to figure subtract that from 36, right? And that'll give me a rough idea. So from the ground to the top here, it's like 17 1/8. So that would be, what is that, 18 7/8 roughly? So let's just call it 19. What is 36 minus 17 1/8?
It's 18.875.
18 7/8 is what this piece would need to be right at 36 inches. But like I said, we don't want to be just at 36 inches. We want to make it a little bit taller. So if I do 24 inches on this vertical piece, that should give me plenty to have it up off the ground a couple inches when I'm in transport mode. And wherever I put this, the hinge on here, to have it balanced good, you kind of want to have the bale. So you figure there's going to be a bale spike sitting up top here. You want to have that bale spike sitting either directly above the spindle or just slightly forward. And what that does is that at a certain point, it's going to make it to where the bale is pushing forward when you're in transport mode, so that it's not constantly trying to go backwards. But you also don't want to make it so heavy to where you can't maneuver it. The idea is this works on a fulcrum, and so this will be the fulcrum right here. And if you have it too far back, it's going to try to lift your tongue up. If you have it too far forward, you can't move it. So you want to try to get it, you know, in here at the right spot to where when you jump off your four-wheeler and you let the cable that's going to hold it off, you can just push this over, and the momentum of the bale will help you push it down. Then you do your unrolling. But conversely, when you've got a bale on there and you're trying to lift it up, at some point you want the bale to start helping you keep it going forward. That's the idea. We'll see how well I can execute. Okay, so what I've got going on here is that's the 24-inch piece. Kind of feel like I should have gone 30 inches, but I'm gonna roll with it and see what we get. So I've got that beveled because there's the horizontal piece is going to be on top of there, and I've just got that side cleaned up on both of them. So this is the beveled side over here, and then this side's been cleaned up. And what I've done is I've cut a piece of my DOM tubing, which is going to act as a barrel hinge. Obviously it needs to be cleaned up. So I've cut a piece off, just cleaned up the end, and this is the overall OD, which is outside diameter, is 1 3/4 inches. So then I came here, that's the halfway point, and then I set this on here, and I got that halfway. So this is the halfway mark of the pipe, and I measured, and I got it on there, and then I just traced it basically. So I did that on both sides, and then what I'm going to do is I'm gonna just grind this out down, you know, to the line, so that this will set in there. When I put it in, it'll set in, and it'll give me more area to, you know, surface area to weld on. And hopefully it'll just make it a stronger hinge. And as you can see, this is essentially where this hinge is going to go. Obviously, I'm going to cut this off based on what I want to put on here and what I'm going to put on the piece that I just showed you. So I'll get this cleaned up and get this surface rust off and get it ground down. Figure out where I'm going to put this at, and then we'll clean the outside of this up real good, cut it down to the size I want, and then get it installed. All right, here's what I've got so far. You can see that's in there, and I've also got this piece done as well. So my plan is to weld a cap on here on this end that'll go on this piece here, and it'll sit past about that far, and then I'll drill a hole through this to put a cotter key or a keeper of some sort, and that way I can take it apart if need be. This side here, I've just got it cleaned up. I've got this piece cut here, and I've got the barrel cut here, and then so once I get it welded onto the vertical piece, I'll cut it and then weld the rest of it onto the trailer itself.
Good afternoon. We're back at it again. It's been a few days since I've worked on it. We had Christmas, and then also we had a cold running through the house, and so you might be able to still hear it a little bit in my voice. Just trying to get over that. And this is the first day in like 7 days we've actually seen the sky and the sun and all that stuff. It's been raining for like 7 days, cloudy and rainy, so just haven't had a chance to work on it. But I am working on it now. I'm getting ready to cut this. I've got it measured out there and on that side, and just so you can see, this is what that'll look like there. other piece of this barrel hinge on the frame, and basically what I did was I measured from the end over here 35.5 inches, because this is right at 36 inches, and so I wanted it to be just a little bit in front of the axle. So I mean, you know, again, I don't know if that's the best thing or not. That's what I'm doing. So it's the axle on both sides is at 36 inches center. So this will be at 35.5 inches center. So I've got it on there, and then I'm just making sure that it's square. And it looks pretty dang good. So I've got that on there. I don't have it all the way welded yet. Probably gonna wait until I get the top built, just to make sure that's gonna work. It's positioning, so if I have to cut it off, I have to cut a lot more off. I did not do that on this side. I permanently welded it on there. So if I do have to move it, it's gonna be a pain in the butt. That's why I didn't do it on this one. I've just got a single pass instead of multiple passes. I also just did this. So I took just a piece of scrap right there, and I just got done drilling a hole all the way through it. That's just some brake clean, because I used some PB Blaster for a lubricant. And the brake clean will dissolve pretty quick, or evaporate rather, pretty quick. So I've just got a cotter key that's kind of almost too small. I'll get something a little bit better for it, but I just was wanting to see if this would work. So here's how I hope this is going to work. I've got this piece on here, and I've got it welded all the way around the outside, and I also welded as far on the inside as I could on both, and I left a lip on this side to give it a little bit of a buffer from here. So on the inside, that'll sit there like that, and that won't go through. This is acting as a stop, so it won't go all the way through. That'll go in there, and that goes in there to hold it so it won't come out. And I'm gonna get a better keeper, probably a cotter keeper or something like that, to go on there. And then now this has plenty of room here to where it's not gonna hit that side, right? Once, you know, there's a cross member and everything welded, and it can move on the hinge. I just lost my cotter key, but I was surprised at how well I was able to drill through that. So I didn't think it was going to work, but it ended up working just fine. Like I said, this little cotter is just temporary. Until I can get something better. I've got to make the piece that sits on top of that and goes that way. Same on the other side, and then have another frame rail going across there, and then it's almost done. A couple little things left to do, put stops on and all that stuff, and then also I still have to figure out how I'm going to attach. Okay, there we go. Attach the tongue there. Baling twine just, I don't think will cut it. All right, you guys can see that I've got this welded up, and so it'll flip over, and this piece here and this piece here, those two verticals, they will be down. And I'm getting ready to cut this last hinge here, and instead of getting the chop saw, I'm just going to use the angle grinder with the cutoff wheel. And then I've got to basically I'm making my own pin, hinge pin. So let's get that done. That worked pretty good. So that's the cut that I just made with that spinning it, and that's the cut that I made with the chop saw, again spinning it because this stuff's pretty hard to get through. So I think it's pretty good still, or both of them are pretty good. I'll flatten it out a little bit on both sides and then build the pin. So what I'm going to do for the end of this is I just took a piece of scrap that I had, and I cut the legs off, and then I'm gonna weld that to it, clean this up, that way it looks good and it won't go all the way through the barrel whenever we put it in.
Well, so you can see that I've got the base part of the trailer kind of backed up over here. And I'm gonna try to see if I can't swing this down and get it kind of in place. I just wanna dry fit it before I get everything welded up. I still have to put the cross member in there and there. But before I welded everything up, I just wanted to see if it would fit, see how it fits in there, make sure it looks good and all that good stuff before I put it on completely. And that piece is pretty heavy sitting up there. So hopefully this will work. If it doesn't, I always think it should have. We got the basic operation, so now I need to get the cross brace in there. It's not 100% square, I don't think. It's hanging up over on that hinge right there. Probably just a little bit out of square. But I think this is gonna work just fine. And I've got to get some bracing in there and then get some stops in. And then put the actual bale spears in there, and it should be just about done. Some bracing and then finishing up the welds. So I'm pretty stoked. I'm pumped about getting it going. Hopefully that side being not I think it's the hinge part that I welded onto the frame, that frame rail there. I think that's what's holding it up. I only tack welded those on. That's just tack welded on. That one was tack welded, but I took it loose because it wouldn't go into there very easily. It was just a little out of square, and so thankfully I was able to cut that, get that on there, and I'm gonna pull some measurements here, pull a measurement here, have it match, and then we should be good. I'll get it tacked up, and then I'll get a brace from there to here, from there to here, to give that some strength. And then I'll probably put a brace here to here, here to here, kind of like what I did up there.
Say what you wanna say to me now. I wanna wake up with you in the morning. Something fake to me now. I wanna wake up with you in the morning. Say what you wanna say to me now. I wanna wake up with you in the morning. Something fake to me now. I wanna wake up with you in the morning. Turn this room, turn it to an ocean. Let me float around. Eyes closed.
So I've got, for the most part, the first pass done all the way around. The only thing that I lack is up under there, and the same on that side. So now I'm gonna go ahead and get this cross brace on. I'll show you what I got done. Wasn't as much as I wanted to, but it never is. But we're making progress. I'm excited about the progress that's being made. So let me show you. All right. So I've got the those braces welded on both sides, and I've got those braces welded on. So you can see what it looks like there. I need to get some sort of stop welded on, and then up here I need to put the tube on where the spike goes through on both sides, and then some sort of D-ring or something up here on this cross piece right here, and then somewhere over here on the tongue a stand to attach the boat winch to. It's looking good, and we're making progress. I appreciate you watching. I appreciate you hanging out with me during this this build, and I look forward to getting it done and seeing if it works. There's been a few times where I could have used it already, so you know how it goes. Maybe it'll be ready for next hay season. So if you haven't already, I'd sure appreciate for you to like the video and for you to subscribe to the channel. This is what I do, and try to share my life, share whatever I'm doing. So like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, all the things. I think I haven't given an update, but last I checked, I think we're up to 360 subscribers. So it's pretty exciting. I appreciate each and every one of you. Enjoy your night. Be blessed and be a blessing. See you on the next one. So I was asked why I use the torch on the pipe, that there's no need to preheat it. And I don't disagree. I don't think there's necessarily a reason to preheat the pipe, but what I'm doing is trying to get the moisture out of where I'm going to weld. So hopefully it'll show up on camera, and I can show you what I mean by getting the moisture out of there. So see that moisture disappearing? Just all the burning off the humidity and everything like that. You can just see it goes away. And so that's why I do this. It's not necessarily to preheat the pipe. I think I said that once, preheating it. It's not to preheat it. It's just to dissipate the moisture that's on the pipe and somewhat in the pores of the pipe. I think it's the right thing to do. I don't know. Maybe you welders out there can correct me. I feel like if there's moisture in the pipe, it's not going to create a good weld. Words are hard. I don't know if you guys know this, but words are hard. He says I've cut those going across there to match those. Sorry, that was a weird. Oh boy.